Well, to nobody's surprise, the end of MultiVersus is unfortunately here, and I say unfortunately because this game had a lot of potential. I know I'm not the only one that felt this way. A lot of people felt the potential of this game, and unfortunately, it just feels like they took a wrong turn and just continued down that rabbit hole, and that's why we are where we are today. So today, we're going to be talking about how we got to this point, what it kind of means for platform fighters in general, and the unfortunate reality that this game is shutting down. We're going to talk about it. Now, it still blows my mind today how much of a fall off this game had, because this game just blew up at launch. Like, this is a game that honestly, like myself, personal experience, I had like, you know, a couple thousand followers on TikTok. I went from a few thousand to like 60,000 instantly overnight because of MultiVersus. Everybody was interested in this game. Everybody was looking up guides. Everyone was asking how to play the game early. This is a game that really just blew up in general with just the general community of people, not just like the platform fighter community. This is a game that kind of expanded that outreach to everybody. Fast forward to today, and we have MultiVersus announcing that Season 5 will be the end of the game. After Season 5, they're taking these servers offline. You'll be able to play offline, but that's it. No more updates, no more new characters, nothing after that. Now, what's kind of crazy is that this game had so much potential, and then they didn't really, you know, they basically made it seem like they didn't have enough to kind of keep up with the demand of the game, which is understandable because, in my opinion, the game blew up, you know, past what they thought it was going to blow up to. So there's a lot more players, there's a lot more, you know, server issues, things like that. So I can understand how there's more issues involved, but it just kind of felt like they weren't giving the people what they wanted, and they weren't doing it fast enough, and as a result, the player count started to decline, and as a result, they had to take the game offline, you know, eventually relaunching to what we have today. Now, why they decided to basically relaunch an entirely different game by making the game slower, changing the mechanics of the game, that I don't understand. I don't think anybody understands that. But even with the relaunch of the game, there was a little bit of initial hype with the relaunch of the game, but after that, it's just really fallen off. Like Season 4, I'm pretty sure most people don't even know about Season 4. They couldn't even tell you what characters got added. I probably couldn't even tell you what characters got added because pretty much after the season where they added the Powerpuff Girls, I just kind of stopped playing. I uninstalled it altogether. Like, and it's crazy because I really love this game. Like I said, this game had a lot of potential, but I just completely uninstalled. And it really sucks because honestly, this game has a lot of really cool characters, a lot of unique characters. You know, I really enjoyed Tom and Jerry. That was one of my favorite characters, but it just felt like every character was very unique. They had their own mechanics. You're bringing together all these universes that are very popular. You know, you got Rick and Morty, you got Looney Tunes, you got all the DC characters, just a lot of cool characters in general that, you know, a lot of people that maybe don't play video games as much, or, you know, they don't play platform fighters, they're going to be interested in this game naturally just because of the characters themselves. It's kind of like that effect that Smash has where, you know, you may not even play fighting games, but hey, your favorite Nintendo characters in the game, I'm gonna go try it out. And unfortunately, I feel like MultiVersus has kind of ruined it for future platform fighters because the platform fighter genre in general isn't the most popular genre. Like, that's no surprise. The only really successful platform fighter in the past is obviously Smash. There's obviously been other platform fighters that have found some success. You got like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, Rivals of Aether right now, which in my opinion is more of a kind of niche game, like really big, you know, amongst the fighting game players and things like that, but like to the general audience that don't know about these characters, they're probably not gonna play the game that much. And then of course we have a game like Nick All-Stars, which, you know, found some success as well, but kind of just eventually died off as well. But MultiVersus was the one platform fighter to really find a way to kind of branch out into that general gaming space. You know what I mean? Like, this is a game at launch, like at the beta, I feel like it was rivaling, you know, Fortnite numbers, things like that. Like, this game was really blowing up. People were streaming it, people were playing, you know, online, things like that. You can go on Twitch and see it right there at the top with any other category rivaling those numbers. And it's a game that we haven't really seen a platform fighter hit those numbers. I mean, Smash obviously is Smash, but aside from Smash, we've never seen that with a platform fighter. And unfortunately, it feels like MultiVersus kind of put that bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, where I feel like moving forward, you know, if there was to be another platform fighter, it's never going to hit these kind of numbers. It kind of reminds me of, like, let's say you have a friend, right, and you have like a show that you really love, you want them to watch that show, you sit down, you watch that show, episode 1 is like very boring, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna get good, you know what I mean? But that episode 1 kind of leaves a bad taste, right? And you're just kind of not interested at that point. So it's like, yeah, episode 1 might not be that good, but trust me, it gets better later on. Well, I already tried episode 1, I didn't like it, so I'm not gonna keep watching. And that's kind of how it feels like with MultiVersus. Like, people that don't play platform fighters played this game, and you know, MultiVersus had the issues that it had. So moving forward, a lot of those people probably aren't going to be interested in more platform fighters. And unfortunately, the game itself, like I've said before, it had its issues. You know, like there's a lot of online problems, a lot of server problems, a lot of delays, which a lot of people were frustrated about. You know, announcing that a character is going to drop this day, and then actually we're going to delay them 3 more weeks. Or we're going to add a ranked mode, but we're actually going to wait another season to add it. And then we're going to go offline, you know what I mean? And then we're going to relaunch the game, and it's still not going to be out at launch. So it's things like that where I feel like, you know, at first, okay, you know, this character is getting delayed, you know, it's whatever. But when it's an every season kind of thing, when there's just more features that aren't being added and they're constantly being delayed, you know, at that point, why don't we just kind of wait to announce those things rather than keep announcing things and then delaying them? Because again, like, you know, they had their opportunities, I feel like, to kind of capitalize on their numbers, and unfortunately they waited too long, or they delayed things to the point where people just didn't care and they moved on to the next thing. And that's the society we live in today. Like when it comes to online games, you know, if the game's not ready, nobody's gonna wait for you. There's so many games out there, there's so many, you know, games that are dropping, nobody's gonna wait for you. And the other thing I've always kind of had a problem with when it comes to MultiVersus in general, and I've said this from the start, is just the marketing of the game. It just makes no sense to me at all. And this is more so like with the beta, but like before the beta is even released, you announce characters like LeBron James, which obviously a lot of people are going to be excited for. And then, you know, as the game, you know, a couple months in, we start to add a couple more characters. We start adding characters like Gizmo, Stripe, Black Adam, characters that people really don't care about, let's be honest. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why you wouldn't switch around the order of things. Maybe wait to release LeBron until later on. You know, obviously the launch itself is going to be big enough and bring in enough people. And then that way you have characters down the line that can keep the momentum of the game going, rather than adding characters that people don't care about. Like, let's be honest. Yeah, Stripe is cool. Gizmo is cool, right? But your target audience is a younger audience, people that aren't even going to know who these characters are. It just kind of felt like they continuously added characters that people honestly didn't care that much about. And, you know, when they did add characters that people cared about, it was already kind of too late. I mean, even up until the season now, we're getting Aquaman and Lola Bunny, which nobody really cares about, let's be honest. It just felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities there. And lastly, the biggest issue I have here is just the microtransactions, which obviously, you know, is the downfall of every modern game nowadays. But just the way the game has shifted to really pushing out those microtransactions, really, you know, encouraging people to spend real money. It's not good for the game, you know what I mean? Which I don't understand, like, the logic behind it, like, because I've seen people say, like, oh, you know, like, the game needs money to thrive, or whatever. But keep in mind, like, before the game was even in beta, this game appeared at Evo and had a $100,000 prize pool, which is the largest prize pool of any game at Evo, if I'm not mistaken. They really pumped a lot of money into this game at the start of it, which kind of blows my mind because we are where we are today. Obviously $100,000 in the grand scheme of things when it comes to, you know, running a giant company, you know, game like this may not seem like that much, but still, my point here is it just kind of blows my mind that, like, we basically front load this game, you know, with a giant prize pool before the beta even releases, and then after that there's like no support. Like, it would have made sense if they would have continuously had, you know, tournaments and things like that where they're, you know, putting prize pool money into, but we couldn't really get that because, you know, offline was basically non-functional for the first few, I don't know, the entire beta's length of time. It was really bad. Like, I went to one of the only you know, big offline tournaments for MultiVersus, which was Low Tech City in 2022, I think it was, in like December, around that time frame. And I remember, like, you know, for one of my sets that we played, it legitimately took an hour to set up the controls because it was so flawed, you know what I mean? And then, like, finals of that event had to be played online at an offline event because they couldn't get the local stuff to work. Like, it just wasn't working with the controllers. And prior to that week, because this was hosted, you know, where I live, we ran like a pre-local tournament, you know, but you know, before the big event. And the issue we were having was there was a bug where perks didn't work offline, so you could not play with perks offline. So like the game was just non-functional. So again, there was a lot of issues. You could not play the game offline reliably. And so because of that, all you could really do was play online. But online, there was lag issues, there were server issues. You couldn't really do that either. They took forever to give us a spectator mode. They took forever to give us a ranked mode. Like, it's things like that that kind of just continuously build up to where people just get frustrated and they move on. And I've said it before in the past, you know, like for me personally, like, I don't mind that much, you know what I mean? Like, I can be patient, you know what I mean? I understand that, but I just feel like we live in an age today where the majority of people are just going to move on. You know what I mean? Like, most people are not going to sit around and wait for you to fix your game. If your game is not ready, That's not our fault, that's your fault. And again, I wouldn't really feel this strongly about it had they, you know, continued on or something like that, but you got to keep in mind they shut the game off for like an entire year, and somehow they screwed it up even more by coming back. I don't really know how that's possible. I don't know how you shut the game off for an entire year, you come back and the game is like twice as worse. Like the game now is just legitimately just not enjoyable. Like had they dropped this game originally, like if this was the beta version, this game would have never blown up to the way that it did. I don't believe that for a second. Like this game would not have blown up to the level that it did. It's tough, man, because you know, a lot of the people that worked in this game were really passionate about it. You know, a lot of them, like, you know, Smash players, you got Nakat there, you got like Ajax. Those are people that like I've really seen really try to push this game out, really, you know, passionate about the game, really working hard on it. And it's just unfortunate that altogether the game didn't work out. And it's like people say with a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it sounds like I'm hating on the game, it sounds like people are hating on the game, but really we're saying these things because we cared about the game. If we didn't care about the game, I wouldn't even be making this video. There's no point in me making this video, but I really cared about this game. I saw the potential, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. So unfortunately that's gonna be it, you know, with season 5. I'll probably play it, you know, as one last hurrah, and that's gonna be it for MultiVersus. And you know, after May it's just gonna shut down forever. So that's going to be the end of a game that had so much potential and unfortunately just went nowhere. But all that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always interested to see what people have to say about this game because, again, this was a very big game that had a lot of potential, and unfortunately it just kind of failed. And while you're down there, I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. I do make a lot of like Pokemon content, Smash content, you know, things like that. I would say MultiVersus content, but the game's dead now, so I'll probably make like one more MultiVersus video, and that's going to be it on that chapter. But again, leave me your thoughts below, let me know how your day's going, and yeah, catch you guys in the next one.